So today's lesson is just slope. So the first part is slope. I wrote and some of them are really big or not on that graph at all, so you have to have a really big graph. So it's not ideal, but really formula. We'll have a formula for the test, not for a quiz. For x2 minus x1. So the y2 minus y one thing I highly recommend, and that is your project, really a little bit of extra work to make your grade a little bit better. I highly recommend labeling. This is your x1, y. Now again, some of you guys don't need to, I would at the very least label this is my point 2. That's how I do it a lot. Once you know your point 1 and point 2, that's it's not too bad. The hardest part of that is making sure your points I've had some people use the 5 for their y2, and then for their x2 they use the 7. You can't do that. You have to stay consistent. Your x2 has to stay with your y2, your x1 is your and negative 4 minus 7 is not 3. Negative 4 minus 7. I personally always recommend using calculator. This is the decimal. Technically, it's the same taking the decimal, but it's you try to grab decimals. So don't look at the decimal. No. Now, for this one, reduce, all you have to do is on I'm not sure what either way, reduce fraction is made over So moving on to number 2, again, this is where if you were trying to use graph paper, it'd be a little bit of a pain. Because we end up with this really big, we have negative 100. Negative 100 does not fit on there. Why are good where you can make negative into plus, so negative 1 plus 100. Again, that set this snake calculator would give you if you did negative 1 minus negative 1. 0 minus 9 is negative 9. Again, a lot of people positive. When you use that, that's negative 1. Very interesting why they wrote this way. I don't know why they did that. But technically, it doesn't matter what your point 1 is. answer, this is your next one. This is with 99 over positive, but it still reaches that negative 11. Bell getting ready in a second. But yeah, last thing I will say, doesn't matter actually which one you use. Personally, I think it's easier just whatever they give you first, make that 21. Whatever they give second, make that 22. Some of you guys, so um, it's 6 minus 8. I totally fine. I would just put in your calculator 6 minus negative 8. But minus negative positive, so that's 14. Now, whenever you get zero, it's exactly what the slope is. What red flag was off, the thing is, you never have for the denominator, excuse me. It goes along the same lines. You've maybe heard this, but you can never divide by 0. If you ever divide anything by 0, you can't. There's an error. There's a reason for that. I don't want to get into it right now. So you can never have 0 with the denominator. So this never happens. Is uncommon. Is undefined. But the other one, obviously, going to end up being a little bit similar. You guys can probably guess what's going to happen. 3 minus 3 or 5 minus 1. 0. 5 minus 1 is 4. 0 over 4. This one, is 0. So the slope for the is 0. Earlier. Which one goes which? Sometimes two things happen, and I know it's was this it, and I remember which one. So, because if you put 14 divided by 0, how I say divided by 0, I'm saying error. Something wrong with it. This is 0. That's one of the things I would. You don't necessarily have to remember which is which. You remember one is undefined and one is 0, and then you can put it in your calculator. And again, you get an error. That's undefined. So go ahead and do number 5 on your own. I'll give you the answer probably in like a minute, probably a little less than that, and then we're going to move on. All right, my work is up there, so that should be negative. I end up getting -9 over -2, which is over 2. Again, I had a couple people that asked if they could put it to 4.5. I'm going to highly discourage that. If you do that, honestly, but when it's graphing it, it's going to be a huge for you guys more than me if you're trying to graph things with fractions for your slope or decimals for your slope. Any questions on that before we move on? All right, the next part, I don't even know if you'll have any questions like this. I might put something in quiz just for you. But just putting this in slope intercept. Again, the thing that just make sure you double check that. Next one, y is equal to 3x minus 4. Again, if you put 3x plus negative 4, I would rather you not try not to do that. I think that's some points for that. It's going to create. We have to graph these. Now this one again, I don't think I did last year. This. But I don't think I do any of this, but I know a lot of standardized testing does this because they're trying to trick you. Normally your slope is the fraction and your y-intercept is the whole number, so occasionally they switch to that. So I know this one looks really weird, but that one's fine. Your slope is 6, your y-intercept is 1/2. If I had to graph that, that'd be a nightmare. But just write it out isn't terrible at all. So just be careful for those. Any questions on those before I move on? That's certainly one of those that if you still don't know how to do that, you should definitely ask because we're not doing any math in there. We're putting numbers where they need to be. Math. So now we're trying to get it in slope intercept form. So this is another one that we did this in our chapter 0. I had a section over here. We only have one standard form. Now forms, it's the same thing. It's not like so for that form, they're next to each other, they're glued together. We have to. Put your next but if you have to solve for y, you need to get the y by itself. So we have 3 lines together. This is why when we were doing literally people were thinking one fraction. And what your y-intercept and your slope are. So next one's a little bit different, but it's still the same objective. We're getting that y by 12. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So I get 2y plus 3x is equal to 18 plus 12 is 30. Then get rid of that x. Again, I'm putting the 3 and the x together since they're right next to each other. We're treating that just like one number. And the 2 and the y, again, we try to keep them together if we could, but at the end, we have to split those up because we have the y by itself. So this one is y is equal to negative 3 over 2x plus 50. And the last one is actually a little introduction onto something called we are going to learn about that probably either Friday or Monday, depending on. But take that number and distribute that. So we have y minus 10 is equal to 3x minus 18. We want to make sure we do that first. Technically, you could divide both sides by 3. It would just make your equation a lot more. Now again, in slope-intercept form, all I have to do is add 10. So I have y is equal to 3x negative 18 plus 10 is negative 8. Y's by itself, so that's all we need for that one. All right. All right, number 11 and 12 are up there. Not yet. Any questions on those before I move on? And again, that's something that in chapter 0, again, we did some of them in standard form, but we did not do problems like number 9, 10, and number 12. So it is a little bit different. Hopefully you don't realize it's much different and you think it's easy. But the other thing, I definitely did this in chapter 0, the graphic form. I wish I could go back and make one of these where it was you had to put it in self-intercept form first. I didn't. Why positive 3, positive right. Now, I personally like to go that way and do it the other way just to make sure I remember. So, for instance, what I need is if I went up 3 to the right, then another point that can go down 2 to the left. And you need that extra. Instead of both, I would always that makes it it's a lot easier. So -2 is your y-intercept. And then from there, I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. But no matter if I go up or down, I then go to the right 1, 2, 3. You always go to the right. Now, again, that's sufficient to get points, but just get some practice. Going down and to the right is the same thing as going up and to the left. That's that same time. Put that up for 1, that's your slope. Now, one of the things we did not get to in the Chapter 0 review are these special cases. So for these special cases, to give you a spoiler, it's a vertical line. Those are the special cases. So if you have X and 19, notice you know how many X's, it's just a Y. So if you don't have one of your variables, you know it's going to be one of these special cases. Now we have to determine which one is which. Well, for me, the way I do this is I figure if this says X is equal to 4, that means my X-intercept is 4. If X is equal to 4, that must mean it crosses my X-axis at 4. So now I have two options. It's either a vertical line or a horizontal line. Yes. But it's a lot more likely that it's a vertical line that crosses right there. I remember is to look at it. Now the slope earlier, the slope. Again, I apologize because this is one of the things I was in. For some of you, it should be a little bit top end. Because you're living on here, you got earlier, and that is a vertical line. One of the ways someone told me to remember it, it was back when I was doing teaching. to -3. That one, again, for me, actually, this one, I think it's easy to remember or easier because it's slope form. The only difference is your slope is 0. So this is the same thing as 0 x. My y-intercept is -3. My slope is 0. Now, again, you just have to memorize when your slope is 0, that means you're horizontal line. Now, one of the reasons I remember that is because horizontal, the word horizontal has 2 O's in it, and those look like zeros. So horizontal line, the slope is 0. Vertical line is undefined. And it might not be a bad idea to label horizontal and vertical. And last one, y is equal to x. Again, this is just slope-intercept form. A lot of people think this is a really weird one. I put it in the special cases, but it's not really a special case. But a lot of people miss this. Y-intercept, zero. Your slope is 1 x, which means it's 1 over 1. So you go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, down 1 over 1 to the left, so on and so forth. Now, one other way to remember this is remember that these numbers are x numbers. So that's y or equal to that means if I go over I need to go up. Goes right, have the same go up. Whereas the left 3, I go down 3. Y is equal to x. All right, go ahead, do number 16, 17 on your own. I'll give you guys a bit of time, and then I will put this answers up here. All right, my answers are up here. Your worksheet, your homework check. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll have more details tomorrow on what our quiz is and all that. Good news.